أهلا وسهلا أهلا وسهلا على المحشولة على حلول محلول يلا حبيبي. I'm sorry, I just want to make this as dramatic as possible. This is the whole idea, because number one, the goal is to get as many as viewers as possible all around the world. Now, you know what? Good evenings, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, excuse me. Sorry, I really had to come up with the character before wanting to go into the basically the subject and explain the matter. So my name is Arash, sorry, and this video will be primarily having to do with the whole rise of tension between US and the world powers versus the Iran, and basically I wanted to explain a few things here and hoping to perhaps being able to make some resolutions here. That's the main idea for this video. Honestly, the way that I look at it, every way possibly. I've lived in America for the last 17 years. I'm Iranian, Persian, however you want to refer to it. And honestly, the way I see it, really the politicians in America are really nothing, just purely figureheads. Their brain is full of nothing, really, just say that, really, to be at best really trying to describe it, because it's really the pure reality of it. And the worst part is that people, Americans, it's just like, it's a very funny thing where they put so much trust, and they look at the politician as really reflection of the truth, what it is, the way it is, and the only way that is. Let's just say it that way. And it's just a very scary scenery. And you know what? You might be right about this. It's kind of a global system which really needs to fade away, because you know what? I really truly believe that there should be, if you will, at least a third. There should be a tri-channel that is not through the government's branch itself. They have this beautiful scheme where they have come up with, and they're like, okay, well, you know what, you're right. We have executive branch, we have the perhaps the House of Representatives, stuff like that, so forth, that they kind of perhaps they're polarized and they're controlling. But guess what? At the end of the day, they're all part of one thing. They're all government entity, which is part that is one entity, an insider controlling one insider versus the other. It's not a third party from the outside trying to look into these affairs. You see what I'm saying? And to be really clear here, what I'm really hoping for is really the people themselves. You see, they've come up with this in America, and of Western capitalists especially, and specific to this heightened way, the United States is really, it's a very optimal, very close to the most optimal capitalist ideology, where you see it's really all about money. And it's a very shameful situation, but that's all it comes down to. And the idea is that, you know what, I'm a citizen, I do want to be engaged in politics. I do believe that, and I should be part of this game. I should have some kind of scrutiny on this matter, but I'm not getting paid for it. So what the hell is it there for me? I mean, my immediate needs are much more important to me than trying to go and trying to look into these matters, as much as I think really it's a public duty and we should all do it. But that's the thing. So what I'm really trying to do here is that, not pure honest said, I really hope that Americans, they need to establish a new viable venue to have themselves included into their politics directly, not through a bunch of representatives, which at the end of the day, they're not nobody, but really part of the same group and same clan, which should not be trusted. Because you know what? Nobody's there to necessarily... What I'm trying to say is that if you ask an average American, they pride themselves. They think that, you know what, they really, for the most part, are living the most awesome land on earth. And the reality of it is that nobody, especially given that the America was built on the money that was brought from the outside, primarily speaking from the European, riches, and really on top of that, primarily speaking, the Rothschild. They controlled all the monetary system in this country. What I'm trying to get at is that if you have a big share, you feel like relatively to other countries you're more blessed than other nations. That has one implication and only one implication: the people running the system, they're living on a lot different and much more unforeseeable level of economical perhaps quality compared to you, that grants you to have such a thing. You see what I'm trying to get at? That's the whole thing. So nobody necessarily there for your welfare. It's really because of one thing: to keep your mouth shut, that you're happy and you don't run your mouth in a politics of your own very country, so it leaves their hands open. So the picture we've seen for the last 300 or so years in America being up and running, if that's what they say, really, 94% out of this, all this time that America was supposedly incepted, only 6% of its time has been at peace. 94% of the rest of the time it's been engaged in one war or more at a given time. How do you explain that phenomenon? You are having this massive belief in, God knows, whatever you call freedom, these values, democracy. What kind of democracy is that? Is the boundaries of these democracies and these freedoms are totally just limited to just one certain nation? How do you explain that phenomenon? What is that? Where are we going to do that? And on a smaller scale, really speaking, neighborhood by neighborhood inside an American city. If you're living in a different neighborhood in an American city, that doesn't mean your rights, the way your treatment, the social programs which you're entitled to, the wages, the things you receive, the money you get, the life quality you get, but protection you get, whatever you get is not the same as if you were really living in a richer neighborhood. And yes, as you know better, it's color coded. You have white neighborhoods, you have, yes, black, Hispanic majority speaking neighborhoods. I've never understand this, but this is what it is. You know these things better than I do, so there's no need to explain that. Really, no, this is serious. It's because, devil has no mercy on nobody, and if you're going down this route, I really want to, I don't want anybody to go through hardship. That is, God forbid, to be subject and object of violence or anything of that, crimes, any kind of bloodshed, anything of that nature, because it hurts. It hurts so deep, and regardless who is the victim, even might be some criminal, I don't want anybody, nobody wants that, because I'm a human being. I don't want anybody to put their hands on me, and likewise I totally feel that nobody else wants to do that. But here's what it is: this land, America, has been doing it for the last 300 and so many years. Yes, you're right about that. The Brits were doing it, that primarily dirty, filthy, sleazy business, bloody business prior to America kicked in. Well, what's the difference, really? Now they're all really, they have their hands to each other. The Brits support Americans, the Americans support the Brits. They're both working together and trying to have a bigger share of the global empire. It kind of consolidated the power, in the face of the rest of their competitors. Anyways, I'm sorry. This is really a huge thing, because Middle East, as we're speaking, and North Africa is really burning in the fires of ignorance. Is really burning in the fires of ignorance. This whole vicinity is really burning, so people suffering, and we don't want that fires to be, how you say that, to basically to fray and stray further to other lands and God forbid they're coming anywhere near anywhere. I don't want anything bad happens. I'm sure nobody. What I'm trying to say is that this is not fair. We are sitting here, and we are perhaps part of some of our citizens. To see in America, a lot of citizens are preoccupied with their own lives. A lot of citizens are well-to-do, and they like the system. They know that to maintain and retain the wealth, they should support the system that's already been set up for them. And the rest of the people that are just so preoccupied, living paycheck by paycheck, they just don't have better options. They don't have any proper education. And even they had, the American citizens, they have so many laws. They don't know their rights. They don't know that to begin with. Further, they don't know the venue. The venues are close to them to want to be engaged in the politics, to have a say in what has to be done, what should not be done. It's a big matter. And you know what? The last 1979, Iran it's burning. It's burning. We had the bloody 8-year war with the Iraq, and I don't want to go really think about it because I was growing up in Iran when that happened, and I don't want to remember all those things. It doesn't make me happier, or definitely makes me a lot worse. I don't want to remember that. And this land, America, they support it. They give it a bunch of these different arsenals, the weapons, all kinds of stuff. This man, they gave it to him. Just like that. Every time he wanted to bomb a certain spot in Iran, they gave him the blueprints, the satellite blueprints, and they're like, go ahead, you got it. Right here, just do it right here, you got it. And they were doing it, they were just hitting the other target. That to the side, Iran, the people have been suffering through the sanctions, the massive sanctions, that totally turned everything around. 1979 was a time when all this thing happened. Prior to that, you can read about this if you like to. An Iranian citizen had this Iranian passport, one of the most powerful passports in the world, perhaps if not just the second to the American passport in the world. You could walk into any land, people literally would bow in front of you as an Iranian citizen. You could borrow, you could either put money in your account or borrow against your deposits in your account in America, in a major American city, from your bank in Iran prior to 1970, what were we, 2019. How do you explain this phenomenon? And all of a sudden, the table turns around. Iranians don't even have a bank account. They have a bank account, they don't have a bank card to make a purchase. They can't even do that. They don't have visas, they don't have MasterCards that you can go outside. You're not connected to global networks of payments, so you can travel around, or you can, one way or another, give your phone over the phone, your card number to somebody, some other place, anywhere. It doesn't have to be America, it can be anywhere. So we're not talking about just America. And you can make a purchase or credit somebody, pay somebody, receive money. You can't do that. It's a very simple scheme that destroyed Iran in the last 40 and some years. And people, I grew up in this timeline. I've seen people's lives being destroyed. I've seen people, prior to 1979, one Iranian Taman was equal to $7 American. 1979 happens. Inflation, 1 liter by liter goes up, not liter, it's a stagflation. It's so bad today. 15,000, $1 American is equal to 15,000 Tamans. From 7 Tamans to 15,000 Tamans. You explain how this happens. And you're not talking about an African nation, you're talking about Iran. A land that has all kinds of capitals, human capital. Iran is one of some of the most intelligent peoples on earth, if not the most intelligent. They got the capitals as far as, if you will, the natural resources. We have so much of resources. We are the third largest, as resources. We have the basic gas reserves and the in the world next to, actually I think Iran is the second largest reserves of gas in the world next to Russia. And then in terms of the oil, one of the maybe like the fifth or sixth or something in that vicinity. Why do you have to go through this hardship? And the funny thing is that the Shah of Iran actually loved America, had nothing against America. He actually wanted to give all kinds of gesture to the Americans to tell them that, I have nothing against you. I want to be friend with you. And he was so grateful that America is actually giving him all kinds of, military, perhaps, equipments, weapons, and so forth. It could defend itself. And all kinds of different stuff. All kinds of American products were pouring into Iran. Big ass, gas guzzling, the Chevys. We still have them. We have to 45 years. If you go to Iran, you will see these big ass, 1970s, Chevys and Chevrolets, Cadillacs, so forth, still running down the streets. They fix them up and they're still burning the gas and they're driving them around. American liquor, all kinds of products pouring into the Iranian economy. And the Shah of Iran had nothing. No, the politicians, Iranians had no problem. They loved America. The only problem they had was one thing. Stop stealing the goddamn oil money from us. Simple said. Stop doing the sleazy business. Stop it. All that thing to the side. We want to have you with us. We'll support you. We will support you. United States have military bases in Iran. So many military bases in Iran. And absolutely full command. Absolutely no problems. Yes, I object to it. Iranian citizen objected, but that was not the problems because we were in good terms with each other back then. That is just not part of the issue. United States realizes that the Shah of Iran is not in the best interest of the United States. They sabotage the man. They kick him out just the same way that they basically came with this operation to put out the Dr. Mossadgh, the Prime Minister, in a very sleazy manner. You can read about this if you'd like to. Same thing, history repeating itself. And guess what? Bunch of clergies and no shit, or shite you want to call it, about politics. Just pure big-balded man, just talking shit about some kind of doctrines and so forth, about religion, theocracy, so forth. That's all they know about. They come to power, they put everybody out, and they put the best kind of a secret police on the street. Nobody can say a word. If you talk shit about the government in Iran as an Iranian citizen, before you know it, somehow magically somebody will hear you. They will come, they will take you away, and nobody will ever hear anything from you. You know where these secret operatives were trained? A lot of them were trained in Israel. You don't know about this. Prior to 1979 revolution, after that, the Americans were the ones who actually trained this, secret operatives in Iran. They were the ones who actually came up with the schemes and the operations. Alright, sorry, I hate to basically occupy you too much, but really, I'm really hoping that all I'm saying is just meant to be towards one thing. I want the American people, because, I believe in democracy, diplomacy, if you will, and democracy indeed, yes. And I believe we can do it, a system that is based on democracy will thrive, will survive. And that means one thing: we live on a global village. If we're not connected to each other, one way or another, we will see the shortcomings affecting us. It's a big problem. I'm not trying to tell you that necessarily just because you will be having issue that should give you reason to try to uprise against the system. What I'm trying to say is that, simply said, we're all humans. We need to support each other. It doesn't matter who you are. You're British, you're American, you're Iranian, you're Afghan, you're whoever you are. The system needs to go away. We need to live in United Nations of Earth. This is really purely, the system should be up and running. Why not? If it's so democratic, Why you envy each other? Why you don't want other people to have, to have fruitful lives? Why didn't you want them to enjoy the beauty of the life? What is this system? What kind of shit is that? Who was that fucking founding fathers who came up with that scheme? So I rise, and I'm speaking of, happening, man is equal, all men are created equal. Of course, back then, we know which man was really equal and was not. You're not talking about that, but really now saying, okay, yes, but not if you're not in America, sorry, that concept doesn't quite apply. It's a rule of the basically a geographic rule. Come on, man, you're trying to you fuck with people, and then you wonder why somebody does something crazy, man. Come on, man, it's bullshit, man. This not how you handle things, man. Come forward, be truthful, be forthcoming, you know. And then if you want to, if somebody does something wrong, then you can point a finger and be like, this son of a bitch doing shitty things around here, and we need to get rid of this guy. He needs to get out of here. Anyways, well, hit me with any messages, any comments. I would love to do something, talk about these things. Blessings for the good people, and desire and hope for better understanding of those who are committing the wrong and engaged in a wrong, wicked manner. Take care of yourself.